you remember yourself 10 years ago? The world around you was very different from now, wasn't it? No wonder. The 21st century is the age of rapid technological progress, and we're advancing at a mind-blowing rate. So, what do you think our world will look like by 2030? It's less than 10 years from now, but by various accounts, it's going to be some really exciting years. Let's see. Solar panels will beat fossil fuels in energy output, becoming the largest source of energy on the planet. Researchers from Thomson Reuters are sure this will happen because of new and modernized materials. With those, solar panels will be able to absorb much more sunlight, and even when it's overcast. Augmented and virtual reality will become a thing. Today, it's a pretty new and raw technology. But 10 years from now, it will already be something that everybody uses in their everyday lives. For example, you'll be able to have a virtual tour around a hotel before booking a room in it. Or how about taking a good look at 3D models of all goods in a store before adding them to your cart? Handy! Speaking of augmentations, people themselves will become enhanced. Imagine having microchips embedded into your skin instead of a paper or plastic ID. Having bionic limbs with all the functions real arms and legs possess. Or having implants that improve the work of internal organs. You name it. By 2030, all this and more will become available to the masses. And from then on, it'll only get cheaper and more popular. The problem of traffic jams will either be solved altogether or very close to it. With the growing demand for driverless cars and even flying cars, can't wait! The human factor will decrease dramatically. And since it's the main reason why traffic congestion even exists, big cities will finally enjoy relatively free roads, and we'll all be able to get things done on time. Can't wait for it! By the way, gasoline fuel will become a fading memory by 2030. Electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles will push gas-powered ones further and further out of the market. Also, solar-powered cars will probably emerge, gradually replacing all the rest. Just imagine a car that only requires sunlight and some time to charge before you can go wherever you please. No more running out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. The Internet of Things, or IoT, will be omnipresent. Smart homes, smart offices, whole smart buildings. Literally everything will be connected with everything else, separated only by closed internal networks. Living alone, yet coming home from work to a hot dinner and a clean house will become a reality. Everything will be done automatically, following just a few flicks of your finger over your smartphone or tablet screen. The internet will become truly global. Today, only 3 billion people in the world have constant access to the web, while the other 5 billion have either limited access or none at all. Several large companies like Google, Facebook, and SpaceX are already working together on a project that will bring the internet to everyone on the planet at speeds over 1 megabit per second. By 2030, it'll surely be implemented. Artificial intelligence will make a huge leap forward. In around 10 years' time, the AI will not only be able to answer simple questions and follow your commands, but it will also become deeper and more inquisitive itself. It will probably even be able to talk to you. Not like Siri does today, but rather like Tony Stark's Jarvis. In short, it will become everyone's ultimate helper. Medicine won't stay where it is either. Even now, more and more advances are made in this crucial field. And in 10 years, doctors will find solutions to the most important issues we're currently facing. These include a cure for cancer and AIDS, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and many other conditions that have plagued humans for a long time already. Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds, and it won't be cheap at first. But the main thing is that the answers will be found, and the rest is a matter of time. The human genome will most probably be cracked, and only ethical issues will remain before genetic modifications of people becomes available. With those, we'll be able to get rid of pretty scary genetic conditions in children even before they're born. Scientists all over the world discuss this possibility, even today. So, by 2030, the question should have a definite answer. Plastic will finally become a thing of the past. The same Thomson Reuters report I told you about earlier says that biodegradable materials based on cellulose will replace plastic packaging for all purposes. No more littering the soil and the oceans. We'll be making a huge step towards a greener planet. And the new material will feel like plastic, by the way, so you won't even notice the difference. Here's a little bit of sci-fi for you. Teleportation and time travel won't be a myth any longer. Scientists have recently discovered that quantum teleportation is possible, while others made an experiment where particles return to their previous state, making it seem like time traveling for them. The researchers stress that quantum experiments can't prove that these things can actually be repeated in the material world. And, of course, we won't be able to go to the past or teleport around the world in 10 years' time. But the concept itself will become more real either way. With genetic modification becoming commonplace, modified crops will be grown indoors. Changes to the plant's DNA will make them more resilient and less prone to failure, while at the same time increasing the yield. The times when GMOs were up for debate will have long since gone, and everyone will be able to literally taste the progress. Robots will take over the most menial jobs on the market, making humans turn their attention to more intellectual tasks and opening new opportunities for avid learners. Everything that can be done by robots will not require human assistance any longer. However, in some spheres, these robotic workers won't be completely autonomous. They'll have to be manipulated by people either directly or by programming them to do the required stuff. That will open up new jobs. So no need to fear that robots will take away from us and add to the unemployment rate. Speaking of learning, acquiring new skills will be much easier in 10 years than today. With the development of AR and VR, which I told you about earlier on, even the most practical skills will stop needing your actual presence in the room with your teacher. Want to learn how to drive a car? Here's a simulator, right in the comfort of your own home. Perhaps such a method of learning won't be too widespread yet, but it will definitely start taking over the minds of people and get more and more popular with every passing year. Machine learning will also make large progress. Things like near-perfect electronic translators, navigation systems that adapt to your driving style, and other gadgets and software will make our everyday lives much easier. We'll be able to communicate with anyone we want, almost without the language barrier, and do our routine stuff quickly and without any discomfort. And it's all thanks to clever machines that teach themselves off their surroundings and the decisions taken either by humans around them or by the machine itself. 5G mobile internet connections will be a common thing in most technologically advanced countries and cities. With 4G, it takes up to an hour to download a movie from the web, but 5G takes it to a whole new level, downloading the same movie in just a few seconds. The connection speed of this network is simply astounding, and it allows all kinds of things to be done, from real-time broadcasting of sports events, like it was done during the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang in 2018, to long-distance manipulation of robot surgeons by actual doctors. Blockchain will become the preferred method of transferring money and valuable assets between people and organizations. You must have heard about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Those are based on the blockchain technology. In short, it allows you to get rid of the middleman while transferring your money, making the operation secure and direct. For example, when you make a transfer from card to card, your bank plays the role of that middleman. It tracks all your transactions and can block your account if you do something it thinks is suspicious. With blockchain, nobody but you knows of your operations, which makes it pretty awesome. You know your money is always in your hands, until you spend it. And finally, entertainment will become even more diverse with the growth and popularity of space tourism. Right now, entrepreneurs like Richard Branson and Elon Musk are only beginning to launch their first space tours, and they'll only be affordable for the wealthiest. But by 2030, the cost of it will slowly start to decrease, as the whole process will become more easily performed. I'm not saying we'll all be able to go see the stars firsthand. It'll still be very expensive. But it will be a beginning, and who knows? Maybe in another decade, we'll be riding rockets into orbit like we fly in airplanes today. Science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968 about a future human crewed mission to Jupiter in the year 2001. Boy, was he ever wrong. We haven't even sent people back to the moon yet. The point is, predicting the future is notoriously difficult to accomplish. However, some things in the future are not so difficult to predict. For example, with the successful deployment of the James Webb Space Telescope, we can safely predict that many, many exoplanets will be seen for the first time. These exoplanets will be seen in the infrared light they give off, not in visible light. Their exoplanetary atmospheres will be identified according to the gases they contain. Signatures of life, like ozone, methane, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, will be able to be detected if life is present. Civilizations living on any of these exoplanets will be able to be detected by the heat patterns of their cities. Again, if there are cities. There are many discoveries and inventions in laboratories and research think tanks at the present time that we will become aware of within the next 10 years. All this is not only very exciting, but also life-changing on a social and a personal level. Just like when computers and cell phones were rushed into production and worldwide distribution within 2 decades, which totally changed the way we manage our daily lives, there are things coming now that will make our present lives seem old-fashioned. Brightside's first prediction: one world language. All the peoples of the world will be able to speak to each other and understand each other instantly by means of wearable and/or implanted universal translator devices. Instant electronic communication systems began altering society with the advent of the telegraph and telephone in the 19th century. But personal communication between different peoples and cultures has remained stunted due to the differences in spoken language. That barrier is going to be confined to the dustbin of history within the next 10 years. One world language devices are going to be a real eye-opener and ear-opener. Artificial intelligence is the technology that will enable the one world language to emerge. Many more benefits of AI can be expected too. AI will enable society to do away with cash as a medium of economic exchange. It is possible that this will happen within the 10-year horizon we are forecasting. The difficulties society is currently experiencing with different monetary systems are not acceptable in a world that is not homogenizing, but harmonizing. Each person will be plugged into a worldwide economic system, optimally designed by AI. AI will begin to determine national decision-making within an international framework of cooperation, coordination, arbitration, and remediation. War will become a thing of the past, obsolete, counterproductive to human development and economic coordination. This can happen within 10 years. You may be beginning to doubt these predictions. Just hold your doubts for now. When astronauts first went to the moon and looked back and saw our beautiful Earth in space, humanity transformed itself. All the unifying developments we have seen since then can be related to and derived from that vision of ourselves in space. And speaking of space, there are 2 developments in telescope technologies that have a good outside chance of coming into play within the next decade. Liquid telescopes and ionized gas telescopes are entirely possible. Liquids in zero gravity form themselves into a reflective surface. No polishing or adaptive optics are necessary. A huge reflective surface can be created in orbit, so big that we could probably see the smiles on the faces of the exoplanet inhabitants, if they exist, and a million other things too small to see with the James Webb Space Telescope. No, don't laugh. NASA has already bought into this liquid telescope idea and is testing it in space right now. Ionized gas is also perfectly reflective. Before we talk about a crater on the moon, let's remember we have an astronaut mission to the moon already planned, called the Artemis mission, and it's almost ready to go. Soon you will see astronauts on the moon, and they'll be wearing brand new good-looking spacesuits. Back to what I was saying, a crater on the moon a mile wide could be flooded with ionized gas and electrified with generators to create a giant ionized gas telescopic mirror. Who knows what we would see with an ionized gas mirror on the moon? License plates on vehicles on exoplanets? If they have them. Okay, wait a second. I might be getting carried away a little bit. We want to know what we'll see in the next 10 years. I can see now why Arthur C. Clarke went so off the mark. Down here on the ground, We could see aurochs, dodo birds, and mastodons again within 10 years. We have already recovered the complete DNA of these extinct creatures, and with the science of gene splicing apparently picking up momentum, these species of animals, and probably some others too, should be able to be bred back into existence within 10 years or less. Each of these animal species was hunted by humans into extinction, so it would be a good act of atonement to bring them back. Not so sure about T-Rexes though. Concrete could be replaced within 10 years. It should be replaced ASAP because it's not green. As concrete dries, it gives off carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas. The use of concrete in modern society accounts for 8% of all carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. Not only that, modern concrete loses its structural integrity after about 80 years and begins to crumble. We should learn from the ancient Romans. Roman concrete gets stronger with the passage of time. Professor Joseph Davidovits, the father of geopolymer science, has shown that ancient concrete did not dry in the sense that we know. It anneals. That means it dries without shrinking or giving off carbon dioxide. Currently, the formula for this ancient concrete remains lost, but geopolymer science is working hard to bring it back. You should start to see concrete going out and geopolymer building materials coming in within the next 10 years. That's a different look. Our clothing will change big time. Manufacturing techniques for nanofiber cloth are continuing to be perfected. What was only possible to make in small swatches of cloth a few years ago is rapidly turning into a technique for mass production. Soon, we will have seamless garments in very soft and very strong nanocloth. Not only that, but nanofiber production is meshing with microelectronics in truly revolutionary ways. Our clothing can become able to feel in such a way that our clothing becomes part of our bodies. Within 10 years, you should see this type of clothing showing up on fashion runways. We should also see big changes in transportation. Supersonic passenger jets promise to be commonplace within 10 years. For over 25 years, from the 1970s until the new millennium, we had the Concorde, a French airplane that could travel at over twice the speed of sound, Mach 2.02 to be precise. It was discontinued for safety reasons in 2003. Everything looks promising now for the return of supersonic passenger flight. United Airlines has placed an order for 13 supersonic jets to begin international passenger flights within the next 7 years. Automobile traffic is already changing. Electric cars, self-driving cars, and hybrid models are already on the streets. More changes are yet to come as gasoline continues to not be the fuel of choice. Hydrogen-powered vehicles are being developed experimentally at the present time. Will a safe new power source for cars, trucks, ships, trains, and planes find its way to the marketplace within 10 years? It's not the speed of technological development alone that is the determining factor. People's preferences are also a great driving force. Is that a pun? Yes, what we are seeing is a shift in consciousness among populations of people. The people want a future that is better, and they want it as soon as possible. This shift in public expectations is what is really driving invention, innovation, and changes in the market for transportation, and just about everything else. Our food is changing too. It has to. Land development, called urban spread, is stealing land that had been used for food production. Therefore, we are seeing changes in our farming. Vertical farming, as urban farms are called, is going through the roof, literally. The science behind vertical farming is called hydroponics, growing food in liquid rather than soil. Agriculture schools across the globe are immersed in hydroponics, figuring out how to increase nutrition, reduce the cost of food production, and increase its appeal to our palates. Our oceans are overfished by developed countries. Fish farming is becoming essential. Recently, Friends of the Earth issued an aquaculture report that strongly criticized some current fish farming practices, while making a series of great recommendations for the improvement of fish farming. Things look good for industrial-level fish farming, both in containment tanks in the ocean and on land. The good news is that the fish are cooperating admirably by staying healthy and reproducing splendidly. It just may be that they do better when they don't have predators stalking them all the time. So, hold on to your hats, Brightsiders. The future is coming after all. It looks good from here. Lots of career openings in new fields, innovations coming into the marketplace, and new products that will create new lifestyles. But I haven't got a clue as to what kind of hairstyles we'll see in 10 years. That's gonna be totally up to you.